Alright guys, so for this part of the video, we're going to be greasing our front wheel bearings. I've already done the other side. I did film it, but unfortunately I did not have my microphone turned on, so it didn't catch any of the audio whatsoever. Going to use a 17mm to take your tire lug nut off. Ladies next to you where you are not going to lose them. You can just lay your tire wherever. Next, you're going to use a pair of wire cutters to bend back the cotter pin straight. You want to try to get it as straight as you can. So that way you can just pull the cotter pin straight out. You don't need to keep that. We'll be replacing it with a brand new one at the end. Your castle nut on your axle is going to be an 1 1/16 socket. You don't want to lose any of these either. So now we have to pull off the 2 bolts that hold our brake rotor or our brake caliper to the rotor, because that's what is going to allow us to slide this whole piece forward so we can get to our bearing to grease it. The bolts holding your caliper to your hub are in there pretty well. If you need to, you can use a dead blow hammer. Just to get it broken loose for you. And then once you get these loose enough, you can just take them out by hand the rest of the way. Sit these to the side where you're not going to lose them. And now we can start pulling this off of the axle. Just some side-to-side motion, up and down. If you need to, you can use a dead blow hammer to hit up against the back. You want to keep your washers in the correct orientation they fill out in. So just be aware and mindful of that. And just go back and forth from bottom to top so that way you don't scar anything up. All right, now for this side, I did have to loosen up that banjo bolt just a little bit, so that way it would clear the top ball joint bolts. We will just sit that to the side. Wipe off our 44mm bearing greaser. Make sure there's no crud on it. Goes in around the axle. Make sure it is all the way seated down. And you just want to pump the grease in until you start to see it come out from behind the bearing. All right. We can see our grease coming out. We can take our grease gun off. Pull out the bearing puller. We'll sit that to the side. You just want to make sure that this race of your bearing is all the way in there, seated properly. Take your rotor. Make sure your splines on your axle are lined up. Sometimes you might have to get on the back side of this and help push up on your axle, so that way you can line the spines up, because whenever you take this off, your axle wants to dip down. It can be a pain to get it back on. Once you can feel your splines engage, a little back and forth wiggle, and you're all the way back on. Just give it a little love taps all the way around. Those two washers, put them on the same way that they come off. Take your castle nut, start it by hand, get it snug. Just like that. Take our cotter pin. I use the longest one and I just cut it. Once you get those trimmed off, you can use your pair of pliers. I bend one up toward the axle. And then I bend the other one sideways, so that way it does not let the castle nut spin. Make it nice and snug in there. Reinstall your brake caliper bolts. Let's not forget, since I had to loosen up the banjo nut just a little bit, we're going to tighten it back down. And since I did have to loosen up the banjo nut a little bit, I'm just going to make sure that our brakes are still holding on this side and that I don't need to bleed them, which they are. Use your 15, and that banjo nut on the back is a 13 millimeter. You want to make sure that these are nice and snug, just like the way they come off. And also, while you have your tire out of the way, this would also be a good time to just inspect all of your front end, your ball joints, your bushings. All right, so now that we have everything put back, tightened back down, our castle nut and our cotter pin are in, we can go ahead and throw the tire back on. And again, that tire, your lug nuts on your tire are a 17 millimeter. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and please like and subscribe.